Hi, it's Ben from The Coding Geek, and this tutorial is going to be about loops. So loops can be used to repeat stuff in C++. So if you want to repeatedly output hello world, you can do that with a loop. So this loop is going to do that. A for loop is used when you know exactly how many times you want a loop to execute. So this is the counter. I'm going to create an int called counter. It starts at 0. Well, counter is less than or equal to 10, or less than 9, equal to 9. That should do it 10 times. Okay. Counter plus plus. That adds 1 to the counter every time the loop executes. So inside this loop, we're going to put cout hello, and we're also going to output the counter so we know what the counter is at. And too many closing brackets. Okay, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that was 10 times, starting at 0, going up to 9. And so you can use that with arrays too. I was going to do that in our previous tutorial, but I realized we haven't covered loops, and I should just save it for now. So now let's create an integer array called test. Make it have 10 values. Now arrays, so if you give it 10 subscripts, it'll start at 0 and end at 9. So it'll have 10 values, but it doesn't start at 1 and end at 10. So that might screw up some beginner programmers. So I'm just telling you about that here. So anyway, now here we can load test. So test counter. So you can refer to that because counter starts at 0. So at the first iteration of this loop, it'll refer to test 0, the first subscript of it. In the second one, it'll refer to test 1, the second subscript, and so on. So you could set it to equal counter. So it'll do that 10 times, just the size of our array. Now we can create another for loop, because we know how many times we want this to execute. Counter equals 0, counter is less than equal to 9. I like to put spaces like that. You don't need to. And now we can output value and counter, so we know which subscript we're outputting, which subscript of the array we're outputting, and then we can do test of counter. I'm just having some typing issues for some reason. Or in the computing world, we call it PEBKAC, problem exists between keyboard and chair, which means you screwed up. Anyway, this will populate the array and output the values from it. So value 0, 0, oh, whoops. Value, let me just separate them. Counter and value. Okay, so counter, this is subscript 0, the value of it is 0, because that's what we assigned it to, we just made it increment. So, you can load arrays with it, and you can load, like, whatever you want. Maybe you have, a counter of how many times something has happened, and you need it to, I don't know, this doesn't make sense, what I was saying. Anyway, I'm gonna introduce you to while loops now. So, a while loop, you do something like while something equals false. Or you could do while something is less than this. So if you're creating a game and you want it to continue while the play game variable boolean is true, so you could do bool play, it starts out as true, and while play equals true, then you might have a play game thing that play your game. So I'm gonna do while play equals true. I guess I'm just gonna create an integer that's counter, and I'll call it a. And so we're gonna a plus equals 1. Or you could do a plus plus, they're both the same thing. Output test, and we can do if a is, I'm not sure if we did if statements yet. If we haven't, I'll introduce them to you. Basically you could test to see if something's a certain value or something. So you could use it to validate input if user input variable is equal to, if you want to get a y or an n for yes or no, equals y, or if it's a character, y like this. So that's what statements are for. Anyway, I'm going to use it to test for the value of a. So if a equals 10, then we want it to output a equals 10. So we just want to notify the user, and we're going to set play to false, so it'll end the loop. So that's how while loops work, for like a certain condition. Until a certain condition is false, or until something happens. And I think I created an infinite loop. Wow, fail. I guess A needs a value. You have to initialize it before using it in the loop. Something like that. Let's see. Yeah, so 10 times, and then it says A is equal to 10. And then it sets the Boolean play to false and ends the loop. So that's how while loops work. In our next tutorial, we'll have a project, I guess. See ya.